All right, welcome back to ABA exam review. As we continue our 5th edition BCBA task list series, we're starting H, selecting and implementing interventions. We're going to begin with H1, which is state intervention goals in observable and measurable terms. Very straightforward concept, doesn't take a lot of explanation, isn't that difficult to understand because we've talked about defining behaviors, and it's essentially the same thing. Where people sometimes get in trouble or they struggle is they may fall into old habits or get lazy and start thinking in terms of mentalisms and other ideas, things like boredom and frustration. And we want to stay away from those ideas. We want to be observable, we want to be measurable, and we want to look at public events. So, as always, if you're looking for more of our content, make sure you subscribe. We're going to be doing this as well for the 6th edition, so be on the lookout for that. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials. When you pass your exam, please let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. All right, so H1, state intervention goals in observable and measurable terms. We focus on public events. Remember, behavior can be public, it can be private. The only difference between public and private events and public and private behavior is that public events are observable. And that's why we focus on public events in ABA and practice guided by ABA, because we can reliably observe them and measure them. And that's the entire idea. We want behaviors and goals we can observe and measure reliably. When we talk about reliably, we mean over and over again getting the same thing, looking and observing and measuring the same thing. So our goals must be observable and measurable because everyone on the team is tracking the same behavior. So if you've got 3 technicians and yourself, plus maybe even a parent, maybe some outside therapist or teachers, everybody needs to know the same goal. They need to know what we're trying to accomplish and what behavior we're looking at. Those things need to be reliably observable and reliably measurable. Data collection, if we are observable and measurable, can be more reliable, accurate, and valid. And remember, good data is reliable, accurate, and valid. And then treatment fidelity relies on consistent definition and consistent goal. Why is that? Well, treatment fidelity means however you, the behavior analyst, write your plan, you want it implemented that way each time. The more observable, the more measurable, the more objective and consistent you are, the easier it's going to be to implement that plan the same way over and over again. So, when we think about observability, observability consists of the following ideas. Behavior should be public and not private. Private events are behavior. We're focused on public events because we can reliably observe and reliably measure those events. So, for example, if we think about Joe fell out of his chair versus Joe is frustrated with math, we can see Joe falling out of his chair as a public event. Joe being frustrated can mean different things to different people. Joe may show us frustration, he may not. So Joe could be frustrated and not demonstrate that frustration with his body language or his facial expressions. If Joe falls out of his chair, we'll be able to see that every time. It's public. Language used should be objective and based on facts. We're not basing these goals on our opinion, we're basing them on facts and being objective. What is actually occurring? Observability should be reliable, meaning we are looking at the same thing day in and day out. You're tracking that same goal in the same way, using the same measurement over and over and over again. We are all about reliability. We want our treatment plans reliable. We want our interventions reliable. We want our goals reliable, our technicians reliable. In order to be reliable, we have to be objective, we've got to be observable, and we have to be measurable. When we talk about measurability, how can we define behavior in a way that's quantifiable? In other words, how do we get the entire team to track that behavior the same way? So again, let's look at an example. Joe participated in class. What does that mean? How do we measure that? How do we quantify participation? Well, Joe answering questions and Joe raising his hand. Those are 2 ways we can quantify participation. That's what we want to work for. That's how we can measure participation. Measurements include repeatability, temporal locus, and temporal extent, frequency, rate, duration, and to response time, latency. All these measurements can be used. Now, keep in mind, the measurement you choose should help you meet your goal and should come after the goal is selected, not before. So we write our goals, they're observable, they're measurable, and then we decide, okay, how are we going to measure that goal? So finally, let's just combine the two. Joe raises his hand or answers questions in class. It's observable. 10 times per class, it's measurable. Simple, right? Of course, there's more to goals, right? We want a time frame. What's our mastery criterion? There's other ideas. For H1, how can we be observable? How can we be measurable? When in doubt, be as specific as possible. Ask yourself each time, would everyone on the team, including new members and even outside observers, understand your goal and be able to track your goal reliably? You will be training your team on your goals, but you're not going to be there every session. They may forget the training. Can they read that goal and still know what it is you want to try and accomplish? And that's ultimately what H1 comes down to. Fantastic. Thank you for watching. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials. Be sure to subscribe for all of our videos. We post several times a week. We also have RBT materials, and we are working on 6th edition materials as well to prepare for the switch. So be on the lookout for that. Otherwise, work hard, study hard, and we'll see you soon.